I warned you not to bring people here without asking first what exactly you added to the water. No. It actually reacts to a sense of entitlement. Ryan tried to stay calm when his neighbor kept sneaking into his hot tub. But everything changed when she showed up with her friends claiming it was a shared facility. His reaction left them all stained purple and completely revealed. Ryan Tolbert never imagined having a hot tub growing up, but after 2 decades of working double shifts at the auto factory in Spartanburg, South Carolina, saving every bonus and overtime cent, the idea of relaxing in his own warm oasis seemed like a dream. He discovered the ideal place, a modest 2-story brick home on a peaceful cul-de-sac just outside Fayetteville, Arkansas. The yard was tidy, no annoying homeowners association, decent neighbors, and enough space for the one thing he always longed for: a custom-built hot tub framed in cedar right off the back deck. It was not luxurious because Ryan was not into flashy things, but it was his sanctuary. At the start, life was simple. The street was quiet, inhabited by retirees, young couples, and friendly people who smiled without prying. Ryan appreciated that. He did not want cookouts or neighborhood block parties, just a respectful wave and neighbors who honored personal space. That all changed when Christine Hall moved in. She was in her early 60s, newly retired from her real estate career in Little Rock. Her house was exactly beside Ryan's, matching floor plan but separated by a tall wooden fence between both backyards. Ryan first spotted her as she moved in, her platinum blonde bob shining under giant sunglasses, and a voice that sliced through the morning air as if it had a destination. "Hi there," she greeted one Saturday morning, waving a mug that boldly declared number 1 Realtor. Ryan responded with a polite wave. "Just so you know," she added, "I'm the sharing type. I don't believe in all these barriers. They separate people way too much. We are neighbors. We should be like family." Ryan offered a tight smile and a nod. He felt uneasy about where this was leading but thought it was too soon to correct a stranger about property boundaries. Initially, she kept her distance, engaging only in brief conversations when they bumped into each other by the trash bins, or when she walked her tiny bug-eyed dog named Tofu. However, little signs started to build up. One day, Ryan noticed footprints along the side of his deck. Another time, a wine cork floated in the hot tub. He convinced himself it was his imagination. Maybe the wind or a raccoon or anything else. But the truth was, Christine was helping herself. Then, one Thursday as he arrived home late from work, the sound of laughter greeted him. 3 women were there, their voices loud, drinks sloshing around and the unmistakable bubbling of the hot tub jets. The backyard lights flickered on and revealed Christine along with 2 of her friends comfortably settled in his hot tub, towels draped over the chairs. His outdoor speaker was quietly playing soft rock from the 1980s. Ryan stayed quiet for a moment, then walked to the side gate, unlocked it, and stepped onto the deck. Christine saw him, raised her glass, and smiled. "I hope you don't mind. We were simply enjoying this lovely evening. Your setup is amazing." "I didn't invite anyone," Ryan said casually. "Oh, we know," one of the other women replied with a laugh. Christine said, "It is fine. I paid for this hot tub. This is my backyard. You are not supposed to be here." Christine let out a soft chuckle. "Ryan, calm down. We are neighbors after all, and you're hardly ever home during the day. It is just a hot tub. It is not like we are using your toothbrush." Ryan clenched his teeth and said, "Get out." That was the first time he said it so directly. Christine did not apologize. She just rolled her eyes, took a final sip, and stepped out as if she were doing him a favor. Her friends followed, giggling. Ryan remained motionless until they left through the side gate. That night he drained the water and scrubbed every inch of the tub, but he knew this was far from over. Some people simply do not listen to the first no, and that is when the real trouble begins. After that evening, Ryan thought he had made his point perfectly clear. No more using the hot tub, no more treating his yard like a hotel spa. But such firmness does not work on everyone, especially not on someone like Christine Hall. Within a week, it started again. Quieter, less obvious. This time it was more subtle, carefully planned. A towel draped over the fence, damp footprints on the steps, a discarded empty can resting by the filter. Ryan reviewed footage from his outdoor camera. Nothing direct, but just enough to make the message unmistakable. Someone had been there again. He added a lock to the back gate, strengthened the fence's side panel with a steel bracket, and even moved the patio chairs into the garage. Still, Christine found a way. One Saturday afternoon, Ryan returned home early from running errands. The sun was shining, his Bluetooth speaker was off, yet his yard was filled with soft music and laughter. He unlocked the gate and spotted Christine standing alone in the shallow corner of the hot tub, swirling her fingers in the water. "You're back early," she said with a fake gasp. "I was just checking if the jets were clogged. They seemed a bit slow the other day." Ryan did not reply. He simply turned off the speaker, walked to the panel, and powered the entire tub down. "You need to stop," he said firmly. "This is not your place. You are not invited. Don't come in here again." Christine blinked, as if she could not believe what she was hearing. "Well, I never expected such a tone. I have lived in better neighborhoods with better manners. You know I was trying to help. That filter really needed cleaning." He pointed toward the side gate. She got out without a word of apology, wrapped in his towel, which he'd left in a wet pile on the chair. That evening, Ryan filed a report. They told him it was nothing criminal. No forced entry, no physical damage, no threat, just a neighborly misunderstanding. The deputy barely glanced up from his tablet and suggested, "Put up a no trespassing sign. Make it clear from the start so we can handle things better next time," and Ryan did just that. He ordered the largest and most eye-catching metal sign he could find, and firmly attached it to the back fence facing Christine Hall's side. The sign had bold black letters in capital letters with a legal code reference at the bottom. That did not deter her either. She became petty, mowing her lawn while blasting talk radio, and started throwing tennis balls into Ryan's yard, by accident. She left passive-aggressive notes on his mailbox, complaining about the strong smell of chlorine drifting over the fence. Christine kept making her sharp and sarcastic remarks anytime they crossed paths, like, "You should really clear those leaves off your deck," or, "I heard your pump was making strange noises yesterday, hope it's not broken. I could have sworn I saw your cousin or whoever soaking in it the other day, not sure if that's allowed." Ryan remained calm, kept recording with his camera, and documented every date and time. What truly pushed him to the edge happened on a Tuesday morning. He was leaving for work, coffee in hand, when he noticed a stranger walking shirtless by the side of his house with a towel tied around his waist. A young guy in his mid-20s with wet hair and an arrogant expression. "Hey, Ryan," the man called out. "You lost?" "No," Ryan replied silently. The guy said, "Christine told me I could use the tub. Said you were fine with it as long as I kept it clean." Ryan just stared at him and said, "She said you work nights, so you wouldn't even know." The man took off down the street, still dripping from the towel. Ryan turned, went inside, and sat down at his kitchen table. His hands trembled not out of fear, but something different. This situation was no longer about the water. It was about respect. If nobody was willing to confront her, maybe it was time for him to change his approach, something she could no longer disregard. That week, Ryan began losing sleep, not because of fear, but annoyance. Exhaustion seeped into him as he woke repeatedly questioning who had entered his yard. Reviewing security footage became a daily habit. One night close to 11, while brushing his teeth, a notification buzzed on his phone indicating movement in the backyard. He opened the app, and there she was, Christine dressed in a silk robe, clutching a plastic tumbler, motioning for two women behind her to follow. They entered his yard as if it belonged to them, like a rented Airbnb. One of them reached over and pressed the control panel, activating the hot tub. Ryan quickly took a screenshot and sent it to his cousin Tyrone without any caption, just the picture. Tyrone replied with, "Yo, you planning a sewer prank? Whatever it was, I am in." The following morning, Ryan printed the photo and attached it inside his garage above his tool bench. As a clear reminder, this was no longer a mere misunderstanding, but outright theft. That weekend, Ryan caught Christine returning from the mailbox and calmly approached her, saying, "Let me ask you something. Why do you keep telling people they can use my hot tub?" She exhaled as if rehearsing a response. "Ryan, it is not that big a deal. We are neighbors. There is an unspoken mutual respect here. In neighborhoods like this, you weren't really using it. You spend most of your time working. I decided to help prevent it from becoming stale by offering assistance. Helping means asking if this is yours. You do not pay for the chemicals. You do not clean it. You do not repair the panel when it shorts out. Well, if you are going to be so protective about it, maybe you should not have placed it exactly where everyone can notice it." She snapped at him. "Have you ever considered that?" He looked at her, eyebrows raised. "So I am asking for it?" "I am simply saying," she replied, brushing past him. "You cannot expect to flaunt something like that without sharing." Ryan stood silent for a long moment. He did not raise his voice or follow her. Instead, he turned back to his garage. Inside, he opened his laptop and began searching, not for attorneys or fence improvements, but for something that could send a clear message without ending up in court. That was when he found a Reddit discussion. A pool owner was dealing with neighborhood kids sneaking in late at night. His solution was a color-changing dye. It was non-toxic, invisible in cold water, but once exposed to heat, especially from skin, it turned into a bright electric purple. The change was temporary, safe, and could not be washed off for hours. Ryan read every comment, saved the product page, and ordered 2 bottles with express delivery. At first, he did not tell anyone, not even Tyrone. He wanted to see if it truly worked. 3 days later, the dye arrived in a small unbranded box containing 2 clear bottles filled with a thick liquid and a brief set of instructions. Mix into warm water and wait 12 hours for complete activation. That evening, Ryan emptied the hot tub, refilled it, poured in both bottles, and stirred the water with a long-handled skimmer. The water appeared normal with no scent or color, just plain water. He waited for 2 days, but nothing changed, no indication of any intruders. Ryan started to wonder if Christine had finally given up. However, on Sunday afternoon at about 3 o'clock, his phone buzzed again with a motion alert. He opened the live feed to see Christine and 2 women once more. They had towels in their hands, drinks halfway finished, and they slid into the tub wearing wide smiles. The jets turned on, and then the chaos began. One of the women screamed, "What on earth?" Another gasped, "Oh my God, what is happening?" My skin is turning purple. Christine jumped to her feet, staring at her arms, thighs, and chest, where bright violet patches were spreading rapidly. They hurriedly got out, slipping and cursing, knocking over a folding chair in the process. Christine yelled something about a chemical reaction and dashed toward the gate. Ryan didn't smile or laugh. Instead, he stood quietly behind the kitchen window, arms folded, sipping a cold ginger ale. He had never felt so composed, but now that the color had appeared, it was time for everyone else to discover what had truly been going on all along. By Monday morning, Christine's breakdown had circulated throughout the entire neighborhood. Ryan didn't say a word. There was no need. One of the neighbors across the street, Mrs. Delgado, had witnessed part of the incident from her sunroom and relayed it to her sister. The woman next door told someone, and by midday, a thread had appeared in the local Facebook group. Did anyone see why there were purple-stained women running down Cypress Oak Drive yesterday? The comments exploded with guesses and reactions. Ryan chose to remain silent, believing that not responding would carry more weight than any justification he could offer. Just in case, however, he saved the security footage of the event onto 2 USB drives, one for his cousin and another he hid behind the microwave as a precaution. That evening, Ryan went outside to his backyard, grabbed a trash bag, collected the 2 towels they had left behind, and threw them away immediately. No bleach would dare touch that mess. The next morning, around 9 o'clock, Christine marched up to his front door, her cheeks flushed with anger and a folder tucked under her arm. She rang the bell 3 times, as if trying to summon someone from beyond. Ryan opened the door halfway and she snapped, "You tried to poison me." No greeting, no hesitation. Ryan replied calmly, "The dye is non-toxic and approved for pools. You can look it up online. I don't care what the label says." My skin looked like I had rolled in a permanent marker. I had to scrub with baking soda for 2 hours just to get it off. She fired back, "You were not supposed to be in there." His voice remained steady as he answered, "I told you I was only trying to save it." She interrupted sharply, "You were warned, many times." This was the cleanest way to prove my point without involving a lawyer. Ryan stepped onto the porch and said, "Maybe you should have done that instead of humiliating me. You embarrassed yourself and you have no place in my yard, my tub, or on my property. I put up a notice, installed a lock, and you disregarded all of that." She opened the folder and held up a printed screenshot saying, "This is a complaint I submitted to the city. I am reporting you for hazardous chemicals and public risk." He glanced at it, then looked back at her. "Good. I have video." She blinked. "Excuse me. Security footage. All of it time-stamped with audio. You are in it, Gigi, every single way." She took a half step backward. "You are recording me in my yard." "Absolutely." She said nothing else, simply turned and walked away with the folder in her hand. But Ryan knew her withdrawal was not the conclusion. Women like Christine did not give up easily. They adapted, redefined the story, and tried to enter again by another route. Sure enough, 2 days later, someone from the homeowners association knocked on his door. An older man named Curtis Briggs appeared who seemed to still iron his jeans. "Just here to follow up on a concern," he said, holding a clipboard and clearing his throat. "Apparently there was an incident involving your water feature." "It is a hot tub," Ryan said, "and it belongs to me. I have all the receipts." "Well, there has been some neighborhood talk. Some people feel the recent dispute was somewhat intense." Ryan stepped aside and invited him in. "Come inside. I will show you the footage." Curtis hesitated but then entered. Ryan seated him at the kitchen table. Ryan accessed the video footage from 2 Sundays ago showing Christine Hall opening the gate, slipping inside, drinking, laughing, turning purple, and screaming like a kettle boiling on a stove. Curtis leaned forward, squinting. She had been helping herself for months. Ryan played clips from earlier visits, her lifting the lock with a stick, handing towels to friends, pouring wine as if her name was on the property title. Curtis leaned back in his chair and said, "Well, I suppose that settles it." Ryan offered him a soda, but he refused. "She has filed a complaint," Curtis said, standing up slowly. "I will file my report, though I doubt it will lead anywhere." When Curtis left, Ryan finally breathed out. This woman had disregarded his warnings, laughed at his cautions, and believed she deserved what was not hers. Yet this time it was different. She had been marked not only by the dye, but by irrefutable evidence. But just because the storm calms does not mean it has passed, especially when pride has been wounded. 2 weeks went by without any purple visitors. No screaming in the backyard, not a single unknown footprint near the tub. At first, Ryan checked the camera feed every day, sometimes twice a day, out of habit. But the longer the silence lasted, the more he started to hope perhaps the message had been received. Then a letter appeared. No stamp, no envelope, just a folded sheet tucked beneath his welcome mat. Typed in 12-point Times New Roman font, as if that added weight, it read, "Mr. Tolbert, this is not over. You have created a hostile environment. I will be reaching out to a lawyer, no name signed, but he did not need one." That evening, Ryan called his cousin Tyrone. They had not seen each other in person since the footage was saved. "Are you busy?" Ryan asked. "I just finished work. What is up? I need someone else's viewpoint come over." Tyrone arrived 20 minutes later carrying a 6-pack and a pack of sour gummy worms. "Do you still have the footage?" Ryan nodded and gave him the second USB drive. Tyrone relaxed on the couch watching the videos one after another, every fence jump, every confident smile, every party, until he reached a certain scene. The purple reveal. He stopped the video, leaned forward, and laughed so hard tears came to his eyes. She looked like she had bathed in grape Kool-Aid. He cried out. Ryan smiled, amusing now, but she is threatening legal action. Tyrone wiped his face. "Man, she is bluffing. Do you think any lawyer will take that case? Hello? Yes, I want to sue my neighbor for not letting me trespass on his property anymore. Come on, I am not worried about court." Ryan said, "I am concerned she might try something sneaky. Damage my belongings, accuse me of something, so what is the plan? I want to make it impossible for her to return. Nothing illegal, nothing harmful, just foolproof." Tyrone grinned. "Petty, but lawful. I am in." They started working that night. Ryan pulled out a notebook and wrote down everything Christine Hall had done, every shortcut she had taken. Tyrone had ideas as well. Install a motion-activated sprinkler, replace the gate latch with a keypad requiring a code. Ryan said he placed a trail camera in the trees because he wanted Christine to understand she was being watched every moment. Not only with the large camera, but also with smaller, hidden ones. The man was about to turn his backyard into an impenetrable fortress. Tyrone laughed as they installed 2 additional outdoor cameras, one cleverly concealed under the grill lid, and another camouflaged as a solar light. Then they attached a small plastic sign to the gate saying, "Smile, you are already on camera." However, Ryan was not done yet. That weekend he went to a specialty pool supply shop in Springdale, a place managed by former lifeguards and science teachers turned small business owners. He requested the strongest yet safe pool-safe dye that would react to heat and skin contact. The clerk, a lanky fellow wearing a baseball cap and employing heavy sarcasm, asked if he was trying to mark raccoons or something like that. Ryan left the shop with 3 small containers and exact instructions to dilute carefully, circulate for 8 hours, and avoid swimming for 24 hours. Ryan followed every step precisely. He cleaned the filters, balanced the pH, mixed the dye exactly as instructed. The pool looked crystal clear again, the trap was reset, And then he waited. 3 days passed, 4 days, a whole week, and nothing happened. That was when he began to consider the possibility that maybe she had truly given up, that embarrassment had finally overshadowed her pride. Then, on a Thursday around 6 in the evening, Ryan saw the smallest movement at the edge of his camera feed, a hand reaching over the fence. Just a simple test, like checking the water temperature. But Ryan did not respond immediately or rush outside. He chose to ignore it at first, yet he reviewed every notification carefully and adjusted his phone to vibrate twice for any backyard movement. He wanted to stay prepared in case the situation worsened, and deep down, he sensed that it would. However, the true turning point was not going to come from her returning, but from what would unfold when everyone discovered what she had been hiding all along. The following Sunday began like any other day. Ryan slept in a bit and enjoyed a slow breakfast consisting of grits, turkey sausage, and black coffee. He then opened the sports section of the newspaper and settled comfortably into his recliner. For the first time in weeks, he felt a sense of relief. No unexpected visitors, no sideways remarks from Christine, no new warnings taped to his door. Around 1:45 in the afternoon, his phone buzzed twice. Backyard motion detected. He hesitated before reaching for it and tapping the app. The live feed appeared, and there she stood. Christine, wearing a wide-brimmed straw hat, a bright lemon-yellow swimsuit, a towel thrown over one arm, and a glass of white wine held in the other. She was alone, but not for long. Two friends soon arrived, one carrying a Bluetooth speaker, the other wearing rhinestone-adorned flip-flops. Ryan blinked in surprise as they acted with boldness and no shame, moving as if they belonged there. Christine touched the hot tub panel, causing the jets to roar to life. "You all are going to love this," she said to her friends, her voice clearly audible through the camera's microphone. "He does not mind. I keep it clean." Ryan took the second phone from his kitchen, a burner device without a SIM card, solely dedicated to recording backups. He opened a different app and activated screen recording. Within a few minutes, Christine Hall and the other two women had eased themselves into the tub, laughing softly and swirling the water around. They sipped wine as if they were at a luxurious private spa. The water remained clear for nearly half a minute. Suddenly, one of the guests let out a sharp, alarmed laugh, asking, "What is that? What is on my legs?" Christine glanced down, bewildered, and gasped, "Oh my God," as vivid violet streaks appeared on her thighs, spreading across her skin like someone had spilled ink into the water. Another woman screamed, "It's on my arms! It's on my face, Christine! What the heck is this?" Christine attempted to climb out of the tub, but the surface was slick. She slipped, cursed, knocked over her own wine glass, and almost dislodged a panel as she struggled to regain her balance. The woman who had spoken earlier hastily climbed out, shouting, "You said this was clean!" "What kind of reaction is this?" Now soaking wet and covered with large purple blotches, Christine panted, I don't know. This has never happened before." Ryan kept recording everything through the camera feed. He witnessed all of it, her panic, confusion, and utter disbelief as this surreal situation unfolded. She staggered from the hot tub, wrapped herself in a towel streaked with lavender hues, and hurried toward the exit. Her guests were close behind, shrieking and examining their skin in horror. It felt as if they were cursed, but the surprising part was Ryan had set up a new motion-activated spotlight at the garage corner. Positioned to shine directly on the walkway leading to the gate, the moment Christine approached, it burst on with overwhelming brightness, blinding her as though she had stepped onto a stage. The guests screamed even louder. Christine froze for a brief instant before shouting that this was insane and amounted to harassment. Ryan appeared calmly on the back porch, phone in hand. "No," he said softly. "This is trespassing again. The third time this month. Smile for the camera." Christine stood still, seething and dripping with anger, warning he would regret this move. Ryan casually shrugged and responded that he already did not regret it. She stormed out, slamming the gate behind her and retreating indoors. Ryan then saved the video footage to the cloud, 2 phones, and a USB drive. Within the next hour, Ryan's cousin Tyrone arrived, bursting with laughter as they watched the clip once more on the television screen. "Man, she looked like Barney after a sauna session," he joked. Ryan did not share the amusement fully. He was hardly proud of humiliating anyone, but simply wanted the unwanted behavior to end. "I told her over and over," Ryan admitted. Tyrone nodded knowingly that Christine had heard everything but chose to ignore it. That night, Ryan uploaded the recording to a private online link and sent it to the Homeowners Association along with Curtis Briggs, the clipboard man. There was no commentary, only the unedited video and dates. Explanations were unnecessary. The following morning, Curtis called him personally, saying, "Son, I am not supposed to take sides, but good Lord, that was quite something." Ryan just replied and left it at that. "I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, I simply want to be left alone," Curtis stated. That message seemed to be received loud and clear, but just when it appeared that everything had reached its limit, Christine had one last move to play, and she was far from finished changing the story. By Wednesday, Ryan could not walk to his mailbox without feeling like someone was watching him. It was not an unpleasant sensation, just unusual. Mrs. Delgado waved at him for longer than usual. The elderly gentleman with the Dalmatian gave him a respectful nod. A teenage boy on a skateboard even shouted, "Hey man, that tub story is legendary." Apparently, the private link Ryan had sent to the Homeowners Association had not remained secret for long. Someone, likely Curtis or maybe one of Christine's own visitors, had quietly shared it, and in less than 2 days the video had spread throughout the neighborhood like wildfire. There were no captions or music, just raw footage of a woman stepping into someone else's yard, getting dyed purple and stumbling out like a crushed grape. Ryan did not share anything or make any comments, he just observed as neighbors started to change their behavior. They cleared their throats before talking to him, chose their words more carefully, and treated him with a reserved kind of respect he had never experienced before. One morning as he was hosing down the deck, a woman from 2 houses away approached him. She was tall, with glasses, probably in her mid-40s. "I just wanted to say," she said, "I've lived here for 10 years and you were incredibly patient. I do not know if I could have handled what you went through." With such grace, Ryan expressed his gratitude, unsure of what else to add. Later that afternoon, he encountered Curtis Briggs again. Walking down the street wearing a polo that was evidently too small, Curtis gave him a subtle smile. "You know," he said, "I have endured 6 homeowners association meetings where Christine argued over mailbox heights." Ryan laughed softly. "I wasn't trying to steal the spotlight." Curtis responded, "I understand, but sometimes people need to witness something firsthand to believe it. Even the lawn guy who mowed Christine's yard now avoids her property, trimming only the edges without stepping fully inside." Despite that, Christine did not disappear quietly. That Thursday, Ryan discovered a letter in his mailbox. It was unsigned, just as before, and it read, "Shame is temporary. You will be remembered as the neighbor who used chemicals to harm a woman. Beware." He showed the note to Tyrone later that night. Ryan asked, "Do you think she really sees herself as the injured party?" Tyrone replied, "She must, because admitting fault would mean conceding she exploited you for months. Some people simply cannot face that kind of truth." The situation escalated further. 2 days later, Christine posted a vague yet pointed message in the local Facebook group. "Some believe humiliating others is justice. It is sad to witness what is now considered decent behavior." Although no names or direct accusations were made, everyone understood the statement was against Ryan. One person responded, "This would never have happened if you respected his boundaries. Private property remains private, period." One woman even remarked, "Imagine believing a hot tub was part of the neighborhood." Christine did not respond, and the post vanished shortly after. Within less than an hour, she disappeared from sight, her curtains constantly drawn. No more loud tunes, no backyard gatherings, and no fence peeks. Everything fell into silence. Ryan took this opportunity to start fresh. He cleaned the tub thoroughly one last time, drained it, cleaned the filters. He removed all remnants of dye, wishing it would no longer feel like a trap, but simply what it was supposed to be originally, a peaceful retreat. It worked perfectly because for the first time since getting the tub installed, Ryan could enjoy soaking without any disturbances or unexpected guests on a Sunday evening. He did not have to worry about anyone sneaking through the gate, just calmness. Looking up at the sky with water swirling around his shoulders, he exhaled deeply, finally saying, "Peace is not simply the absence of sound, but when noise understands, it is no longer welcome." By the time August arrived, Ryan had nearly forgotten what it felt like to glance over his shoulder in his own yard. The cameras remained active, the keypad gate continued to close with a satisfying click, the hot tub stayed crystal clear, free of dye, secure and untouched. But Christine, she had gone silent for almost 3 weeks. Such quiet would have been a relief if it did not carry so much weight. Ryan was not naive, having grown up with 2 older sisters and a grandmother who could settle disputes with nothing but a look. He understood when silence meant a problem was resolved, and when it signaled someone planning a counterattack. It arrived on the second Tuesday of the month, a certified letter, this time in a real envelope. Signature required. Ryan signed for it, carried it inside, and sat down at the kitchen table before opening the envelope. The paper was thick, high-quality legal letterhead with a heading. It was a notice of intent to file a civil lawsuit submitted by Christine Hall. The accusations were intentional public humiliation, unsafe chemical use, and emotional suffering. Ryan blinked in disbelief. Emotional suffering from someone trespassing on his property. He flipped through the pages. Her attorney, from a small firm in Fort Smith, had covered everything. The footage, the dye, the Facebook messages, even the increase in neighborhood hostility she blamed on the event. It did not matter that she had broken in, lied to her friends, and ignored signs, locks, and cameras. She was twisting the facts to frighten him into settling. Ryan did not contact Tyrone immediately. Instead, he reached out to a lawyer a co-worker had recommended years ago. Her name was Marla Jennings, a no-nonsense professional based in Fayetteville who did not scare easily. They met 2 days later. She examined all the evidence: the video, the dye, the sign, the gate, the homeowners association letters, everything. Then she looked at Ryan across the desk and said, "You are in the clear. She is attempting to intimidate you. If it proceeds to court, though I doubt it, I would be glad to defend you." "Are you sure?" he asked. "I would bet on it," Marla replied, "but let's take it a step further." She composed her own letter, 2 pages long, clear and straightforward. It outlined the facts, mentioned repeated trespassing, ignored warnings, and included official proof of property ownership and boundary lines. Then she concluded with a line that made Ryan smile. "If your client wishes to discuss a countersuit for ongoing harassment, misuse of private property, and damage to reputation, Mr. Tolbert is ready to proceed." They sent it out that very same day. Christine's lawyer did not respond. Instead, Curtis Briggs from the HOA appeared at Ryan's door that weekend with a clipboard and a peculiar expression. "Got a moment?" he asked. "Always," Ryan answered. Curtis stepped inside and placed a folder on the table. "There has been a complaint," he said. "Christine has filed a formal grievance with the board accusing you of disturbing the neighborhood harmony." Ryan raised his eyebrow. "Is that even a valid accusation?" Curtis laughed. "It is when someone refuses to accept defeat." Ryan poured 2 glasses of iced tea and slid one toward Curtis. "So what does this mean?" he asked. "It means we reviewed the footage, the letters, her social media posts, your lawyer's response, and we unanimously decided to dismiss the grievance," Curtis explained. Ryan nodded slowly. Then Curtis added, "Just so you know, Christine plans to put her house up for sale. Apparently she wants to move away because the area has become unfriendly to women." Ryan did not smile at first. He simply took a sip of tea and gazed out the kitchen window. At the edge of his backyard stood the gate, the keypad, and the small camera hidden inside a counterfeit rock. Perhaps she would leave, perhaps she would not. But the true victory was not about forcing her hand. It was about holding his ground, remaining resolute, and never stooping to her level. Ryan had established a boundary, then made it official and clearly visible. However, even after the final words were spoken, those who witnessed everything carried their own insights with them. The neighborhood never forgot who respected the barrier. August faded into September, and the community finally breathed a sigh of relief. The shift was not dramatic. It was subtle, the kind of calm you only recognize after enduring turmoil. Lawnmowers still hummed. Children continued to kick soccer balls against garage doors, and delivery trucks still rolled through the streets. Yet something more profound had changed. Christine Hall's windows remained closed, her porch light had burnt out and was never replaced, and the ceramic frog that once welcomed visitors at her doorstep vanished. The woman who used to stroll the sidewalk every morning with her small dog and greet neighbors with a cautious smile disappeared from sight. A few residents quietly speculated. Someone said she was moving closer to her daughter in Tulsa. Her pride had suffered a heavier blow than she anticipated. "I cannot say I am sorry to see her go," some whispered. Ryan did not add a word. There was no need. Everyone already knew the tale, and he had no interest in revisiting it. He simply continued what he always did, mowing his lawn, minding his business, and checking his cameras when it suited him. One Saturday morning, A new family arrived to visit Christine Hall's house. A young couple in their early 30s perhaps, carrying a baby in a sling with a clipboard held by the man. Ryan noticed them glancing over the fence and decided to go outside to trim some bushes. They approached after a few minutes. The woman said, "We're considering making an offer." "You live next door, right?" "For about 4 years," Ryan answered. "Nice neighborhood," the man added. "Quiet neighbors?" Ryan gave a faint smile. "Yes. Very quiet." They laughed, unaware of the significance those words would soon hold. That evening, Tyrone came over. He sank into one of Ryan's patio chairs and popped open a soda. "So, Queen, a great move yet?" "Last I heard, the house is nearly ready with the sale signs out, but waiting on inspections." "I can't believe everything escalated just over a hot tub," Tyrone said. Ryan shook his head. "It was never about just the tub. It was more about constant disrespect. She acted like she had the sole right to it, as if I was an obstacle to her comfort." Tyrone nodded thoughtfully. "Some people don't accept boundaries unless they're imposed on their ego." Ryan laughed. "Well, hers is marked in purple and caught on video." They sat quietly for a moment, listening as the jets from the tub gently churned the water. This time nobody climbed the fence, nobody poured a drink, and nobody demanded sharing. Just calm. Later that week, Ryan heard a knock at the door. It was Mrs. Delgado holding a small potted plant wrapped in brown paper. "I just wanted to mention that," she began by saying, "many of us witnessed what happened, and some of us, including myself, should have spoken up earlier." Ryan took the factory by surprise. "You did not owe me anything." "Perhaps not, but when people notice something wrong, remaining silent only empowers the loudest voice. Everyone saw what she did, and no one intervened. That is not how a community should function." He nodded, uncertain what to respond. "Well," she said, stepping back toward her path, "if you ever feel like dropping by for tea, my door is open, and I promise I will not jump in your bath." Ryan chuckled, truly laughed this time. This new kind of quiet was more than just silence. It represented acknowledgement, small gestures, a neighbor waving without doubt, a child slowing his bike to express gratitude. When Ryan gave him a ball that rolled into his yard, respect had been gained, not forced. Such harmony cannot be imposed, it must be developed yet. While fences define the boundary of property, the way people treat those boundaries shows who they genuinely are. Ryan sat on his porch one evening, the sky shifting from orange to gray, the drone of late summer cicadas filling the pauses between his thoughts. He had the tub gently bubbling, not for bathing, just to keep the water moving. The water was pristine, clear, and exclusively his, that carried meaning now more than ever before. When he first installed it, he believed he was merely buying comfort, a reward after 20 years of hard work and late shifts. He had sought a way to relieve his back and steal an hour of quiet after demanding days, but it transformed into something entirely different. His battlefield, his firm stance, was never about indulgence. It was about control, not only of a place but of tranquility. For months he had patiently tried to convey this in calm, respectful language. Yet he was overlooked, not misunderstood, ignored, as if his refusal lacked significance, as if courtesy made his limits negotiable. It was only when he chose a different approach, inventive, intentional, and fully justified, that people finally paid attention. That was the part that hurt the most, since gaining respect should not have required so much effort. 1 week later, he observed the moving van reverse into Christine's driveway. No farewells, no neighborly smiles, just boxes, tape, and quietness. She never glanced his way, nor was it necessary. The chapter had already sealed itself shut. Later that evening, he rang his mother, who lived in Baton Rouge. She had caught tidbits of the conflict through family whispers, and wanted the whole story firsthand. "You handled it far better than most would have," she remarked. "I kept it legal," Ryan responded. "That is not what I mean," she replied. "You refused to let her take your dignity, along with your calm. That is the key." They shared a silent moment before she added, "And God knows you could have lost your temper and still been justified." Ryan smiled, feeling tempted, but admitted, "I knew. If I reacted, it would shift everything to how I responded." It was not her behavior. That was how things always went, Christine said when the call ended. That evening, Ryan stepped out onto his deck one final time. The air had cooled down, and the breeze carried subtle signs of autumn. He rested his arms on the railing, watching the steam rise slowly from the hot tub, his sanctuary, his peace. What he understood over those weeks was more than just fences, cameras, or clever markers. It was about defending your ground without destroying everything nearby, about setting boundaries without throwing punches, about challenging only when truly necessary, and letting honesty carry the weight. People like Christine will always be around, wearing different faces in various neighborhoods, yet their behavior remains the same. Taking what is not theirs, claiming things that do not belong to them, distorting reality until they feel justified, and when confronted, always portraying themselves as victims. But there is no need to shout to prove them wrong. You simply need to come prepared with facts, calmness, and a camera if required, and hold your ground. When truth is revealed clearly, it cannot be overlooked. The community never forgot the man who did this without breaking a single rule. So if you ever face a moment when your voice is ignored, your limits are crossed, or your patience is misunderstood, remember Ryan Tolbert. Sometimes, the most powerful message is not screamed but recorded, time-stamped and noticed in vivid detail. Respect in the end is never handed out freely. If this story moved you deeply, make sure to click that subscribe button. Remember that peace is something you earn and defend. When it is challenged, hold on to it firmly with both hands and do not hesitate to express your opinion boldly. Speak in a manner that leaves a lasting impact they will always remember.